Alright, so let's review. For an area of a rectangle, base times height. Area of a parallelogram, base times height. Now we're going to find the area of a triangle. Now in order to do this, the first thing that I'm going to do is I have regular old triangle. And I'm actually going to outline this the best I can to show you exactly how easy it is once you know the area of a rectangle, once you know the area of a parallelogram. Okay? So there's my triangle. I've just outlined that, and we'll remove it with our fill in the lines here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place it, and I'm going to make, a very similar shape. Place it right about here. And now I'm going to trace it again. And this is just kind of a reference that we'll use. Fill that in. I'm going to remove it one more time. And I'm going to call this the first part, and this is the second part. So I started with this triangle right here. Again, no Canva tricks or anything. I just kind of flipped it around and drew it the second time. So let's think about this. I started with my triangle, and I used two triangles to draw what you might notice looks an awful lot like a parallelogram. And as a matter of fact, it is a parallelogram. Okay, so let's refresh again. The area of a parallelogram, area being A equals base, B for base, times height. But this isn't the entire parallelogram. This is only half, right? Again, here was one part, here was two parts, but I only used one triangle, so I'm going to erase this. Now, knowing that, if I'm going to find, and I'll just shade this in one part here, and we'll call that our triangle. That was right here. Now, in order to find that, all I need to do to find the area of this triangle is take for my area, I take my base times the height, remembering that this is our formula for a parallelogram or a rectangle. So I have base times height, and then I'm just going to divide it by 2, or divide it in half, because, well, guess what? Only half of this parallelogram is shaded in, which means that half of a parallelogram is just your regular old triangle. So let's actually measure this out here. I'll grab my ruler, and we'll measure it as a parallelogram. We'll do it in a little bit different color so that you're able to notice this. So we have, I'm going to do it in centimeters actually here. We have 16 centimeters, and that's our base. Now if I'm measuring height, remember you're measuring at the bottom, going straight up, not the slant, going straight up. That's going to give me 12 centimeters going up and going down. So let's plug these in. To find the area, the base is 16 centimeters multiplied by the height, which is 12 centimeters, divided by 2. Well, let's simplify this, make it a little bit easier to work with. Okay, we better figure out what 16 times 12 is. So we'll just do that over the side. 16 times 12, again using partial products. 2 times 6 is 12, 2 times 10 is 20, 10 times 6 is 60, and 10 times 10 is 100. Okay, we added up to 9, so we have 192. So this really equals 192 centimeters squared, right, divided by 2. Now you're going to notice a connection here. We're noticing we're using our math facts. You notice we're using partial products. Then you also notice that in order to divide this, we need to use partial quotients. So I'm going to erase this. I'm actually going to do partial quotients with green marker. And again, there's another video if you just check out on my page. You'll be able to find partial quotients there. So we'll start with 10. Well, 10's too small. Well, 2 times 100 is 200. That's probably too big. Let's try an easy number like 50. 50 times 2 is 100. Subtract, we get 92. Well, 20, 30, 40. Let's try 40. 40 times 2 is 80. And we'll subtract again. We get 12. 2 goes into 12 6 times. We are left without a remainder. We'll add these up. 50 plus 40 is 90, plus 6 is 96. Now, I want to make sure that we label it correctly. We have 96 centimeters squared. So let's refresh. We'll go all the way back and we'll talk about these steps one more time. You start with your triangle. And as we discussed, your triangle is 1/2 of a parallelogram. 1/2 of a parallelogram. So we only want 1/2. So to find the area, we're going to take base times height, which would give us our parallelogram, divide it into half, and then we just plug in the numbers. So we had 16, which is our base, times 12, which is our height, and 16 times 12 we came up with 192. And then 192 divided into half, or divided into 2, would give us 96 centimeters squared. So I really hope that you're starting to see the connection here between partial products, partial quotients, the area of a rectangle, the area of a parallelogram. It'd really be in your best interest to go back and watch those videos again to make sure you have that skill set down, as we're going to continue learning some different areas of some different shapes, some non-traditional shapes. So this has been area of a triangle, and again, keep practicing those multiplication facts, because it'll really pay off as you learn that in order to do all these more difficult algorithms, so that you won't have to spend your time thinking, well, what's 3 times 9? You'll just know it, and you can use your memory into figuring out all of these pieces. Thanks a lot for joining us today.